Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of the Lost in Translation podcast. And once again, today's message is protect our women. And I'll get into a little bit about what happened. Here in Birmingham, Alabama, there was a young lady who was abducted. And I'll give you guys a little bit of background for I'll go ahead and share my screen just a little bit. Her name is Carlethia Nicole Russell. And just to give you guys a little bit about what happened, Miss Russell, I'm actually dedicating this show to Miss Russell. What happened was she was actually on her way home from work, and she was on the freeway, and she noticed that there was a child on the side of the road. And what happened was she stopped her car and she called her people and was like, hey, there's a child out here on the side of the road. And the next thing you know, she asked the baby, was the baby okay? And the baby didn't say anything. And the next thing you know, you heard a lot of, rustling and cars passing by, whatever. And then after that, it was nothing. And she came up missing. You know what I mean? She's missing as of yesterday. This is a huge story here in Birmingham, and it's been spreading across the internet all over the place. So if you guys know anything about this case, it actually took place in Hoover, Alabama. If you see her, she's a 25-year-old black female, medium complexion, 5'4", 150 pounds. And her last seen location was on Interstate 459 South near John Hawkins Parkway. Now, if you guys know of any information, please make sure that you contact the Hoover Department of Police. Their telephone number is area code 205-907-8714. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about protecting our women. And a lot of times, guys, they want to say, oh, these women don't need us or whatever. But I'm here to tell you they absolutely need our protection. And my thing is this: we have to make sure that we do everything that we can to make sure that they're protected. Now, in this particular situation, nobody knows what happened to her. All they know is they said is a gray car pulled up on the side of them. After that, that was it. Nobody knows anything. But sad to say, her case is not unusual. And what I want to do is I want to share my screen, and I'm going to share my screen with the national NCAA, so you guys can actually see that this is a bigger problem than we thought it was. And just to give you guys a heads up, this one is from missing African American women and children in the United States of America. This is from the NAACP. And it says, whereas according to the National Crime Information Center, nearly 40% of those who've disappeared often are Black. However, they're alleging that the media mostly only focuses on white women who have disappeared as opposed to African American women and their children. And whereas the Black and Missing Foundation reported in 2010 that the total of 273,985 minorities were reported missing in the United States, out of 692,944 for all races. Now, they've also reported that most women disappear in the United States, New York, Georgia, North Carolina, Maryland, and Florida. And whereas hundreds of African American families were left with painful details of wondering what has happened to their loved ones. Now, many Black women and children, Black women and children come up missing. And whereas currently there's more than 64,000 women missing across the United States. And whereas despite representing 12.85% of the population, Black Americans accounted for 226,000, or 34% of the missing persons reported in 2012. Now, according to the FBI, National Crime Information Center, the comparison for other racial groups is unfavorable. Whites and Hispanics are combined 80% of the population, but account for 60% of the missing persons. Whereas when you break down the number by age, and Black and Missing Foundation reports 37% of the missing minors, 28%, 2% of missing adults in 2013 were Black. Now, fewer than 270,000 minorities have gone missing since 2010, 135 of whom were Black, and 64,000 were Black women and girls were missing nationwide, according to the Black and Missing Foundation in 2014. Now, according to the National Crime Foundation Center, there were 170,899 missing Black children under the age of 18 in the United States in 2016, whereas how the missing reports are handled by the media raises concern. Now, critics citing a stark racial divide in news coverage of missing reports, African Americans and particular African American women and children. Therefore, to be it resolved that the resolution requests the National Association of Advancement of Colored People research new and recent updates in African American women and children missing. Now, with that being said, thank you guys for allowing me to share my screen on that. But my thing is this: for some strange reason, our women are coming up missing more than anyone else, and that is a problem. And we had this discussion online with a few of our friends on how can we stop something like this. And then a friend of mine was like, well, we can, get these little insignificant little rings, whatever, that track you, because people will, leave your phone behind because they know that phones can be tracked. My thing is, we're going to put a ring on every single woman in the country. No, I don't think so. That's unreasonable. My thing is this: we should make sure that we check on our people like all the time, especially at night. If we have women leaving, you know what I mean? We should say, hey, I'm on my way home. And if they stop, like she did, call somebody and let them know. In this case, there was no way for her to know that she was going to have a situation like this where she was going to come up missing. You can't figure it out. She was actually trying to help and came up missing. And I can't tell you how many times stuff like this happens all the time where, we have big hearts and we want to help people, and all of a sudden we wind up being jammed up. Now, fellas, this is a hard conversation that I want to talk to you guys about. And it's making sure that our women are looked after, making sure they're protected. A lot of times in these spaces, people like to put a lot of emphasis on the provision portion of being a man, but the protection part is something that is glanced over and not talked about enough. Now, protection can also take the form of many different forms, like say, for instance, if you can teach, women to defend themselves, you know what I mean? Or if they can possess some type of weapon or something like that. Some women like to carry mace, pepper spray, you know what I mean? Some women tote pistols, you know what I mean? And it's very important that you guys make sure that you're protecting yourself. Always make sure you have somebody with you. Now this time she was coming home from work, so she was by herself. So I don't think there was a way that, you know, somebody else could have been in the car with her. But at the same time, you know, when you're alone at night, you should exercise extreme caution at all times. And a lot of times, you know, we like to, you know, go outside or whatever, and we see strange people, you know, doing strange things. Something happened to me the other day. I had a friend of mine to come over, and she was dropping something out, and all of a sudden, you know, with some guy outside, you know, just walking up and down the street, just, you know, casing the joint. And all of a sudden he asked to borrow something. I was like, no, you can't. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing, man? You a grown man. You should have whatever it is you need to have. And I looked at my friend and I was like, no, he can't come over here. I don't like the way he's moving. You know, as a man, we have to make sure that we step in and make sure we, you know, let our, you know, female counterparts know this is not safe. You know, I'm gonna walk you back to your car and make sure. You know, she got in the car and left, and then homie was, you know, looking at the car, walking down the street. I was like, hey man, let me talk to you for a minute. I said, man, listen, don't do stuff like that, man, because that stuff right there makes women uncomfortable. You know, when you just out of the blue, all of a sudden you need something when you see a woman show up. That don't make sense, man. That don't look right. I had to pull him to the side and said, man, listen, if you need something, you come holler at me. You know what I'm saying? You don't holler at my company. You know, you don't do stuff like that, you know? And I keep trying to tell people all the time, make sure that you take care of women, man. Because 9 times out of 10, it's one thing that let me see. He said Travel One says, how are black men protecting black women? Black women get attacked by black men. I don't know about this particular situation. But then again, in proximity, you never know. Most of that stuff is domestic. But how do you protect black men from black women? Educating yourself, man. You know what I mean? A lot of times, man, people, you know, attack people out of frustration. They don't know how to talk to people. You know what I mean? Or know how to be vulnerable. That's one thing we have to start getting better as a people, is actually talking to one another, you know, without judgment. You know what I'm saying? And 9 times out of 10, if you sit down and you talk with somebody and you work that thing out, there's nothing that you can't, you know, you can't work out. So that's my whole thing. Now, as far as being protecting people, you know, being around is one way to deter, you know, people from hurting people. And also women too, if men are around, if they say, hey, don't do this, you know, there's a pretty good reason. Don't have to explain it and say, hey, look, just, you know, do what I tell you to do and just chill out. But my thing is this, whenever you have situations like this, I don't think this was a black man or black woman thing. She just came up missing. And to be honest, Hoover is actually the white folks side of town. So it's kind of hard to blame the brothers for this one. But my thing is this, I want to make sure that we're all making sure that we take care of each other and make sure that we're looking out for each other and making sure that we cover each other. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to drop the link. If you want to come up, you can. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And if not, we'll move on with the show. This is going to be a short show tonight. I have a previous engagement I have to go to, but if you guys want to talk, you can. And I'll go ahead and drop the link. Give me 1 second. Give me one moment. And if you guys want to talk about it, we can. And I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat. And you can come on up and we can talk about it. But in the meantime, what are some of the ways that you guys could see that we can actually protect women? I'm curious. You know what I mean? Are you guys actually, you know, teaching women self-defense? Are you actually teaching guys self-defense? How you gonna protect somebody if you can't protect yourself? You know, sometimes they say safety is in numbers is good. You know, safety in numbers is good. So my thing is this: as long as we stick together, we should be fine. 1 second. I don't see anything else. I'll go ahead and pin that to the top. And if you guys have any questions, you can come on up. And if not, we're going to be out. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. If you guys know of any information, make sure you reach out to Hoover Police, area code 205-907-8714. And here are her particulars if you guys want to know exactly what's going on so that way you can see it. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the show up. Be 1 second. And if you guys have any questions, you can come on up. If not, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And we're going to hear from old sweet brother Rance.
Give me my theme music.
All right. This has been another episode of podcast. Remember, if there's anything bad enough you want to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time and your peace and your sleep for it. And if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, you go out and sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it. Lose all your terror of the opposition for it. If you simply go after the thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity. If neither cold, poverty, famine, gulf, sickness, or pain, or body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want. If dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, and with the help of Almighty God, you'll get it. This has been another episode of Lost in Translation podcast. I really thank you guys for coming out. Be sweet, pray, and thank you guys. Have a great day.
The Lord said the story. By His grace we are walking testimonies.